If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from the critique of the short story through to line edits on full-length novels. We also offer assistance on generating writers' bios for your websites. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Called the USA, and we fly our flag cause we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening. It is so good to be back. Usually my show happens the day before all the news. Unfortunately, the news is bad today, but it all happened today. Got a few things I want to vent out real quick before we actually get into the prepared portion of the show. We all know that House Majority Whip Steve Scalise was shot early this morning at the GOP practice for the Congressional Charity Baseball game that they do once a year. They raise money for local charities in the D.C. area that have to do with education and housing and feeding people. So definitely thoughts and prayers going out to Scalise and I believe it was Representative Williams from Texas. and two security guards, or two guard details, or Capitol police officers, I'm not sure which, that were shot. Want to give a special shout out to David Bailey. He is the man that was shot in the leg. We've all been kind of hearing his story today, kind of as a secondary or tertiary type thing, but I really wanted to concentrate on Mr. Bailey's actions because he saved so many today. This man was shot in the leg and kept taking up defensive postures, defending the elected officials that were there. And it is believed that he is the one that ended up shooting the shooter. So, I don't know if this man has a Twitter account yet or not. I don't know if he's on Facebook. I don't know anything about him. I know he did his job to the letter. I mean, this is what they sign up for, folks. It's not an easy job. Okay, a lot of times they spend time standing in the rain watching our elected officials doing fun things while they're just making sure that they're safe. And it's oftentimes tedious. It's oftentimes very boring. But today it was neither tedious nor boring. And you want to say that it's above and beyond, but it's really not. This is what they signed up for. And this man absolutely lived down the words of his oath. And I thank him for doing it. And the other thing I wanted to get out there is if you somebody that is using today's tragedy, whether it's the shooting in Alexandria at the baseball practice, whether it is the shooting in the UPS facility in San Francisco, if you know anybody that are using these instances to try to further a political agenda item, please tell them to stop what they're doing and go straight to hell. Now, that being said, if anybody would like to discuss any of these incidents or these type incidents, my Twitter account is at TCC_Grouchy, and I can definitely deal with some civil discourse. I don't need name calling. I don't need hatred. I don't need finger pointing. I need people that are willing to have the discussion and get uncomfortable in their own skin, listening to what I have to say while I do the same, while they have what they have to say. Because that's truly what free speech is, people. It's getting your say and then turning over the platform for somebody that has a completely different view and giving them their say. Now, you can come back after they're done and you can start the civil discourse, and that's all fine and good, but you can't shut people down. As much as you might think that's what you want, that's not what you want. Because when you shut one down, then somebody's going to come for you. And if you get shut down, how are you going to like it? Yeah, you're not. So please, either side, left or right, and believe me, I know for a fact where most of the people that are committing these type crimes come from. Okay? And you can throw the political stuff away for the most part. The biggest thing that these type shootings have in common over the last few years in the United States is a severe disconnect on the mental health level. These people are truly warped and twisted. Now, You can say that it's politics that's driving them, and there might be some truth in that. But while there's truth in that, and the other thing, hey, while I'm sitting here babbling and making no sense, let me just say I understand what the media is doing too. Okay, the media is a huge source of disinformation, and they even foment this kind of behavior to a certain level. But you cannot blame the media either. Each and every person is responsible for themselves and their actions and their choices. And those actions and choices always have consequences. And if you're willing to act on those feelings, you have to be willing to accept the consequences that come from them. In this case, the man died. Now, Steve Scalise, tonight his condition has been downgraded from stable to critical. There are stories that they're unable to stop the bleeding. And I have also seen another story that says he has undergone a second surgery and may require a third. Thoughts and prayers to Steve Scalise and his family, as well as the other gentlemen that were shot there today too. Understand that one staffer was shot in the chest, non-life threatening, but still not fun. Trust me, I've seen my share. I have never been shot in the chest, and I hope that I never am, but I've seen it before. I have seen it before, and it is not pleasant, even when non-life threatening. So, got all that off my chest. Civil discourse, folks. It's what we need. You know, we can set politics aside when it comes to this kind of thing, because even though there is going to be a time and place where politics comes into it, it shouldn't be what starts the discussion, and it shouldn't be the focal point of the discussion. And more importantly than that is that even if somebody has a different belief than you, and believe me, I know there are people with different beliefs than me. I hear it constantly. They're human beings. And, you know, they have as much right to their opinion as I do to mine. And that even includes my liberal friends. And yes, I do have liberal friends. And I found myself actually missing one today that passed away not too terribly long ago from glioblastoma. So, and the reason I was missing him is because I knew I could have a reasonable conversation about this whole thing with him, and not have anybody knee-jerk reactionary, name-calling, finger-pointing, anything like that. It just would have been a good talk. And I miss that. I do. I miss that in my friend. But anyway, okay, enough of that. Gonna get on to the meat of what we actually prepared. I wanted to go back because, you know, Jeff Sessions testified yesterday in front of the Intelligence Committee, and I wanted to back up even further. And since we missed last week, which I apologize for, that was work's fault, you know, the darn day job. But anyway, I missed being with you last week, and I just wanted to cover it. Oh, good. Getting word from the boss man, Rick Robinson, Rowdy Rick, the man that runs America Off the Rails every night for you, right here on KLRN Radio, that the story going around about the incident at Travis Air Force Base, and yes, please, Rick, to that that you just messaged me. But the story running around about the incident at Travis Air Force Base is apparently a false alarm. Thank goodness. We've had enough excitement for one day already. But anyway, I wanted to back up because there are some things in Comey's testimony that I wanted to touch on that led to Sessions' testimony. And Rick, I know you're there, and you said you have some audio, but if you could, can you cue up the exchange if you have it between Sessions and Wyand?
I have limited audio. I have some of Sessions' opening statement that runs about 1 minute and 3 seconds. Okay,
we'll get to that then. Yeah, we'll go with that. Rick's tireless. He's behind the scenes. He normally ignores my show and just makes sure that the buttons get pushed at the right times and eats his dinner. But he's already had his dinner tonight, so he's actually working behind the scenes tonight.
I always work behind the scenes, you slacker.
Yes, I am a slacker. Folks, the June and July are very tough for me, as well as usually the first week of August, depending on how our school schedule works here. I do work for my local school system. You don't need to know which one because that's unimportant. But in the summer months, we go to 4 10-hour days, and it's just a brutal schedule for me. I don't get off work until 5:30 in the evening, and I've got to find a way to factor a workout into my afternoon/evening and get home to put this show on. And then it's tough. It's tough, but that's my problem. And I'll work it out. I'll either take a short hiatus in the summer, which I can't completely do anyway. I've already got a couple of shows that I've been working on for you that we're putting together. One in mid-July and hopefully one in 2 weeks' time. Rick, are you America Off the Rails tonight, or are you Rick and Jen tonight?
America Off the Rails. Rick and Jen's Tuesday, Thursday.
Rick and Jen is Tuesday, Thursday. So I got to get with Jen because I'm wanting to do something with her on a show with Misfit Politics, and trying to get that put together for you guys for 2 weeks from tonight. But anyway, and then we got the big pro-life special on July 12th. Kimberly Ross will be rejoining the program, and we're gonna do a big pro-life show. We've done this once before. We had the defund Planned Parenthood folks on. All good stuff. This is going to be great. Kimberly will just be off a women's conference and should have some exciting things to talk about for us that night. But anyway, let's get back. I want to rewind to the Comey stuff because that is the prelude to the Sessions stuff, which was super exciting and also kind of, if you were paying attention to it, it kind of became the end of the Russian collusion thing. But anyway, Comey, turns out, leaked his own memos through a friend as a way to instigate the appointment of a special counsel to take over the investigation of the Trump campaign's alleged ties to Russia. I'm sorry, Rick, what was that?
Oh, nothing. I was just getting the audio ready because I actually have him admitting that he was going to leak his own stuff.
Oh, well, if you've got it, that's fine.
Did you show copies of your memos to anyone outside of the Department of Justice?
Yes.
And to whom did you show copies?
I asked, President tweeted on Friday after I got fired that I better hope there's not tapes. I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And so I asked a close friend of mine to do it.
And was that Mr. Wittes?
No, no.
Who was that?
a good friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia Law School.
Okay, so he avoids the question. He wouldn't even say the man's. They had to pry the law professor's name out of him. Comey, I'm sorry, but he absolutely loves. I just can't help but feel this. He absolutely earns that from me. But he leaks his own memos. He's a leaker. Here's the best part, okay? Here's the best part. He says he wrote all these memos and then immediately transcribed them onto his FBI-issued laptop while sitting in his FBI-issued car while on the FBI clock, following an official FBI meeting with the President of the United States. Wouldn't those memos be government property? There's a process.
Only for Republicans.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Only for Republicans.
Oh, well. But see, there's a process that government employees have to sign off on concerning the release of documents like this. Even non-classified documents have a process that they have to go through before you can put them out to the public consumption. And even though he only gave them to one person, that is still outside of the purview of his authority. End of story. Okay? Trump's lawyer issued a statement stating that Comey unilaterally and surreptitiously made unauthorized disclosures to the press of privileged communications with the president and suggested perhaps this should be investigated along other national security leaks. I don't see a problem with this. I really don't. I do see a problem with an FBI director that is leaking documents to a third party that is a non-government official with the purpose of trying to get a special counsel appointed. James Comey spent over 30 years in D.C. as a federal prosecutor and a deputy attorney general, and claims he didn't know what to do after his meeting with Trump. Well, Mr. Comey, this tells me that you are either the most inept FBI director in the history of this country, or that you are suffering very similar symptoms to one who abuses anabolic steroids, if you catch my drift. Comey claims that he distrusted Trump so much that he wrote memos detailing his meetings with Trump because he was honestly concerned that Trump might lie about the nature of their meeting. But apparently, only after prying and only after all of this attention does Comey mention that former Attorney General Loretta Lynch made him queasy, and that's his word, queasy, by urging him to refer to the Clinton email investigation as a quote-unquote matter and not a quote-unquote investigation. Comey said that this language tracked the way the campaign was talking about the FBI's work. And we all remember, somebody mentioned in the hearing with Comey that President Trump had tweeted about the possibility of tapes existing of their conversations. And Comey said, "Lordy, I hope there are tapes." ridiculous.
I have the Lynch audio of him talking about that if you want it.
That's okay. We covered it already, and
just check
I'm already. Yeah, I know. I'm burning time though, so you know. Comey believed that Trump was directing him to shut down the probe of Michael Flynn, even though Trump never used those words, and by Comey's admission, he did not use those words. Comey said, "I didn't obey that, but that's what I thought." Now, wouldn't you think somebody that's been a federal prosecutor and a deputy attorney general and at that time was currently the pinnacle leader of the FBI, if he were unclear about what a president of the United States was asking, don't you think somebody with that kind of experience might just say, "I'm sorry, Mr. President, could you be a little more detailed and spell out what it is that you're after?" But no, that's not what he did. He just simply agreed with the president and kind of shuffled along and didn't do anything. Now, one of the other things we found out in the Comey testimony is that Comey had been briefing the Elite Eight of Congress, that is the leadership teams of both parties in Congress, and apparently had told them specifically that there was not an investigation into Donald J. Trump. There was no investigation of Trump personally. And these same individuals, in particular the Democrat leadership of the House and Senate, these are the people who were perpetuating the story of Trump himself being investigated to the media, who in turn perpetuated it to us, even though they had been briefed that there was no such investigation. Now, I don't know. I mean, this guy, it just seems like all he wants is attention. Trump firing him when he did was bad, okay? Look, I'm not going to lie. The optics were horrific. And Trump giving different reasons over different periods of time as to why looked horrible. He should have fired Comey on day one. And that way, nobody would have batted an eyelid about it. But anyway, he going backwards to where Loretta Lynch was wanting Comey to use different terminology, calling the Clinton email scandal a matter instead of an investigation. Finally, one person actually stepped up, Senator James Langford of Oklahoma. Toot your horn, Rick. Oklahoma in the news, baby. Langford actually said, "Why didn't you push back on those requests, and how come you never took that stuff public like you did with President Trump?" Oh! Comey said that it wasn't a hill worth dying on. That was his answer. So apparently, what the Obama administration asked him to do wasn't a hill worth dying on by trying to minimize the wording on the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server, but a hill worth dying on to the point of leaking government documentation to third-party non-governmental resources that you were scared because somebody might have a different account than you, over an investigation that you already had briefed Congress wasn't occurring, that's okay. That's a hill worth dying on. So anyway, it gripes me horribly. It really does. When we come back, we're going to touch on the Sessions testimony. We're at the bottom of the hour already. My God. I have been rambling, haven't I? Anyway, we're going to hit the bottom of the hour break here. Give me a couple minutes. We'll be right back. We're going to touch on Sessions, and then we've got some other good news to share for a change. So stay tuned.
You and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from the critique of the short story through to line edits on full-length novels. We also offer assistance on generating writer's bios for your websites. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby, ain't that America?
All right, welcome back. Yeah. Anyway, when we left, I told you we would touch on some of the Sessions testimony, and Rick has graciously provided a clip of part of Sessions' opening statement. We're going to play that real quick, and then we're going to touch on a couple of the other finer points of Sessions' testimony. So check this out.
Let me state this clearly, colleagues. I have never met with or had any conversation with any Russians or any foreign officials concerning any type of interference with any campaign or election in the United States. Further, I have no knowledge of any such conversations by anyone connected to the Trump campaign. I was your colleague in this body for 20 years, at least some of you, and and the suggestion that I participated in any collusion, that I was aware of any collusion with the Russian government to hurt this country, which I have served with honor for 35 years, or to undermine the integrity of our democratic process, is an appalling and detestable lie.
There you go. Absolutely. Let me tell you something, folks. Jeff Sessions is a good man. And I don't care if you're President Trump or if you're Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, who really made a jackass of himself in questioning Sessions during his testimony. He knew good and well, just like Kamala Harris knew good and well, that they were asking questions that Sessions would not be permitted to answer, and then badgered him over not answering them. They said that Sessions had declined to answer the questions, and Sessions basically said that he wasn't stonewalling. He was following the historic policies of the Department of Justice regarding confidential communications with the White House. And Wyden just wouldn't stop. He absolutely wouldn't. And Jeff Sessions he's as genteel a Southern gentleman as you'll ever find. He is. And I have met him. I have campaigned for Jeff Sessions here in Alabama. And let me tell you something, he is a fine gentleman. And to actually hear him get to the point where he was raising his voice like that, I can tell you that's a rare occurrence. So anyway, Sessions went on to say that I can tell you that this is secret innuendo being leaked about me, and I don't appreciate it. And when they pressed him further, asking him why Director Comey would have said such things, Sessions said, "I don't know. Why don't you ask Director Comey?" Who is the one that actually, he threw the bone out and then pulled the string on it, is what he did. He said that, well, Senator Sessions knows something that is pretty damning, but I can't go into it. Well, what the hell? Come on. You can't do that. And then nobody follows up. Nobody follows up with them. It's unreal that these people do not know. It's sad. These are the people charged with oversight. Okay? Congress, the House and the Senate, they're charged with oversight of these agencies. And they don't even know how to ask the proper questions to get the answers that they need. It's unbelievable. You just can't even imagine how frustrating it is to be in the know on some things and then just watching people spin their wheels. As far as I'm concerned, Kamala Harris on that committee was basically throwing the flag in the air, launching her 2020 White House bid. And that's all that was. It was just grandstanding. But anyway, Sessions was very unhappy with Wyden, and you may have even seen some of the postings on Twitter talking about. Well, there was one in particular. I don't enjoy the thought behind it, but I understand that it's metaphorical and not literal. There was a tombstone with Wyden's name on it, and it said "Murdered by Jeff Sessions." Jeff would never do that, obviously, but it shows to the level of how crazy it is that he was even that angry with a colleague like that. And Sessions, to his credit, he was flustered, but he did and said the right thing. And that's what it boils down to. He was badgered and he stuck to his guns. Anyway, not going to beat the whole show on this. I want to move on because there are some other pleasant things I want to share with you. State of Missouri, get ready for a lawsuit, I am sure, because what has happened in the state of Missouri is their legislature has pulled funding for Planned Parenthood from the state Medicaid budget. An amendment restricting $10.8 million in Medicaid reimbursements goes into effect on July 1st. The language states that Medicaid funds may not be dispersed to persons or entities that perform or induce abortions or encourage or refer for abortions which are not necessary to save the life of the mother. I applaud the state of Missouri for going after this, and I wish more states would follow. Joe Ortworth, the executive director of the Missouri Family Policy Council, one of Family Policy Alliance's 40 state allies, said women will still receive care they need. There are 24 qualified health care centers compared to just 14 Planned Parenthood facilities. The 2018 budget also makes clear that the state of Missouri remains committed to providing maternal health care services to low-income women, Ortworth said. The budget includes a $14 million appropriation to the Show Me Healthy Babies initiative. Fantastic. I love the tie-in with the state motto. The program provides health insurance coverage for pregnant women and can health insurance coverage. Family Policy Alliance is proud of the hard work State Ally Policy Council has done to get defunding pushed through, and they say that they'll continue to work with other state groups and Congress to show them how to defund Planned Parenthood. Thank God somebody is stepping up and doing this the right way. It's time for these states to get on board. For the life of me, I do not understand what the federal government is waiting for to pull their funds. First it was, we only have the House. If we only had the Senate too. Well, now you got the House and the Senate and the White House. And yet just this week, there was a story about Republicans being willing to cave on abortion in order to get a deal worked with the Democrats. People, this is not what we sent our elected officials to Washington, D.C. to do. We know good and well what we sent them there to do, and we expect them to do it. We expect them, since they're the ones that said, I'm your guy, or I'm your girl. I'll go there and I'll do this. I'm going to work for you. Well, you're not working for us if you're cutting deals like this. This is not what we asked for. This is not what the election was about. I don't care if you like it or not. That's how it is. Now, what else is, well, let's start with a little joke, huh? Nuns who buy birth control. That sounds like a joke, right? Hey, you got to laugh a little bit at it, just the thought of it. But it's not funny. Because the sad part is there's no punchline. Forcing nuns to pay for birth control was a very real policy of the Obama administration. And the Little Sisters of the Poor were a main target. I want you to think about something for a moment. The Little Sisters of the Poor take vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience to God. And their main mission is to offer the neediest elderly of every race and religion a home where they will be welcomed as Christ, cared for as family, and accompanied with dignity until God calls them unto himself. Despite their vows and mission to care for some of the most vulnerable, the Obama administration, in its infinite wisdom, decreed that these nuns be required to fund contraception and even abortion-causing drugs in their health care plans under the ACA mandate. The administration exempted big non-religious corporations like Pepsi from this same mandate, but insisted that the mandate apply to Little Sisters of the Poor, threatening them with $70 million worth of fines per year if they refuse to comply. Ultimately, the Little Sisters were forced to turn to the courts to defend their right to freely live out their faith and serve those in need. Now, folks, I'm going to stop here for a quick second because I have to qualify something before I sound like I'm cheerleading. President Trump was not my choice back during primary season. When the field thinned and there were 5 left, he was still not my number one choice. When he won the Republican nomination, I was not happy. But then enter President Trump. Or actually, let's even rewind further than that. Let's enter candidate Trump on the campaign trail. He promised, specifically naming the Little Sisters of the Poor, telling them, I will fight for you. You can mark this down from a previous episode where we reviewed Trump's campaign promises to see what he had kept and what he had not to date. This is a campaign promise he kept. He honored them as he signed an executive order on the National Day of Prayer stating that his administration would work to protect religious freedom. And now a leaked draft of an HHS rule has emerged indicating that the Trump administration tends to provide relief for the Little Sisters of the Poor. As believers, we may all disagree on the various policies of President Trump from time to time. But let's give credit where it's due and encourage him to keep doing the right thing when he does it. President Trump is right to defend the Little Sisters of the Poor, and issuing a new rule protecting their religious beliefs and their ministry is the right thing to do. When nuns are not being forced by our government to pay for birth control, that's a good day in America. No matter your faith background or if you have no faith at all. What'll be a better day in America is when no American is forced by government to have to buy a third-party product. This is something I have been yelling at my senators and my representative in the House incessantly over. I don't want a better government health care plan. I want government out of health care altogether. So I hope you'll join me, at least in this case, in encouraging President Trump to go forward with this new HHS rule so that the Little Sisters of the Poor can continue to freely live out their faith serving the elderly, indigent, and so that all of us breathe a little easier knowing that our government isn't so coercive and unaccountable. Ugh. It's aggravating. Absolutely aggravating. If you've been listening to my program for any amount of time, you know I'm a little bit of a stickler for pointing out government waste. And this one's a pretty big one. You know, usually we hit, a few 100,000 here, a few 100,000 there, maybe 1 million here. We've even had one that was as high as $50 million before. Folks, this one takes the cake. An Obama-era program made over $729 million in erroneous payments to doctors. And if that's not bad enough, this includes payments to doctors that have been dead for years. These are the findings of an Inspector General report that there was minimal oversight on the program and payments, and that it was vulnerable to fraud and abuse. Now, this stems from a Washington Free Beacon report where an Obama administration program to encourage the use of electronic health records made over $729 million in erroneous payments, according to an audit. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services also paid dead doctors for enrolling in its program. How did they enroll? How does a dead doctor enroll in their program? The audit released by the agency's Inspector General had lots of findings. From May 2011 through June 2014, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services made that $729 million to eligible professionals who did not comply with federal requirements. Yeah, that's pretty good, Rick. Rick answered my question when I asked how does a dead doctor enroll in the program. He said it was the same way a dead Democrat votes. Yes, rim shot for Rick. Absolutely. But also paid $2.3 million in inappropriate electronic health record incentive payments to eligible professionals who switched incentive programs. The Inspector General found the government has conducted minimal oversight over whether doctors met the program requirements, leaving the program vulnerable to abuse and misuse of federal funds. Folks, this is not just, you look at a $3 trillion budget proposal, $729 million is a drop in the bucket, but that is not chump change, folks. That's nearly $750 million. Requirements for the program included providing patients with their health information online. The government also overpaid doctors who were enrolled in incentive programs for both Medicare and Medicaid by more than $2.3 million. Doctors are not supposed to receive payments from both programs during the same year, but did. In addition, the Inspector General identified a deceased doctor who was paid as much as $11,760 and 2 deceased doctors who are still active in the government's payment systems. 11 dead doctors were deactivated from the program from more than 2 months after they had died. Folks, this is your tax dollars at work. Yeah. One more tidbit. If you'd like to join the party, get in early before the rush and start waving goodbye to the Obama legacy, as it were, as Obamacare is taking its swan dive off the edge of a cliff, hopefully to be flushed permanently. As of April, this is as of April of this year, 1.9 million Americans have canceled their Obamacare coverage in 2017 through April. The reason? Most said the high premiums and poor coverage were the reason they canceled their coverage. Yeah, 1.9 million Americans. Now, get this, because when they find out that Trump is basically waiving the penalty, they expect this number to grow exponentially over time. So you can take your mandate that Trump is waiving the fines and fees or taxes, whatever the heck you want to call it, on, and take all those people out of the Affordable Care Act program, and they're either going to take their chances without, or they're going to find a different way to purchase. I don't know. I mean, I would love to talk to some of these people that have canceled already this year. But it's important, to get a complete picture about enrollment numbers. It's more accurate to highlight the number of people who actually paid their premiums than those who simply selected a plan. And of course, that's something that the Obama administration was always very hazy on. They always wanted you to think that more people had signed up, when in fact these were people that were visiting the website and picking a plan but never going through and paying. That's where their elevated numbers came from. That's why they could tell you that they had this grandiose number of people that enrolled, when in fact they hadn't enrolled because they hadn't paid. All they did was select a plan. It's all in the verbiage of how they present it. Now, folks, we're getting close to the top of the hour. I'm going to wrap this up real quick. I want to thank you for being with me. I want to remind you to stay tuned tonight. Coming up next will be Jesse's POV, followed by The Right Side with, and then America Off the Rails with Rick Robinson. I also want to remind you that you are 2 weeks away, not next week after, from the new program joining us on Wednesday evenings here on KLRN Radio. Polita Bunny will be back with us with her new program, FUBAR. Yes, there will be one nation under Fu, and trust me, her kung fu is strong.
Stronger than Hannity's.
It's stronger than Hannity's, that's for sure. And she has better hair, too.
I know a Twitter account that may take offense to what you just said, but yeah.
Yeah, I do, too, and that's a good account, but you know what? I'm sticking to my guns on this one. Sam has better hair than Hannity. Hands down. And Hannity's hair, you can live with it. But
hey,
anyway,
maybe we should get together with somebody and start an account called Bunny's Hair just for fun.
Maybe we could do a little parody account for something like that. Who knows? She'd probably kill us with her chainsaw, though.
Might be worth it.
I'm not saying she would, but.
I forgot to tell you, I let her in the back door.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, that's 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks tonight, Polita Bunny will be on right before me. So she will kick off, and I will have a new piece of flair, so to speak, to throw out with 5 shows on Wednesday night coming up in 2 weeks. So do yourself a favor, stay tuned. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you need new friends, really, you do. But they and you are welcome every week right here on the Conservative Curmudgeon Show. Thank you. God bless. Love you.